Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the interview and experience series. So, we have Uday with us, who is currently working as a senior Android developer in Inshorts. And prior to Inshorts, Uday was working as a technology analyst at Citibank. So, along with his full time jobs, Uday has also worked on multiple personal startups. And so, you can say he's a seasoned Android developer. And in this video, we will be discussing his experience at Citibank. So there will be a follow-up video on his experience at InShort. So you'll probably find the link to the next video somewhere on the top right corner. So first of all, welcome on the channel today. Thanks a lot for taking out time and sharing your valuable experience.
Yeah, hi Siddharth. Thanks for having me on this channel.
Great, thanks. Uday. So let's get started with our discussion. So as usual, we'll be dividing the video into three sections. First, we'll discuss your experience. Then probably we'll discuss about the recruitment process or the preparation part, and finally we'll just quickly go through your interview experience. So starting with the first section of the discussion, would you like to begin by sharing your experience as a full-time developer at Citibank?
Yeah, at Citibank, I was mainly working as a backend engineer. I did not start off as an Android developer there because all the Android developer openings in although and basically the positions in Citibank were majorly outsourced to they were only limited to the US region. So in the India region, like I was based out of Pune. So in the Pune region where my office was there located, I did not have the chance to get into the Android role. So I was working as a backend engineer, and my I worked there for approximately 2 years, and my experience was pretty decent, honestly. The If we get to the culture side of things, the work culture there is actually pretty good, and by good I mean in terms of the work-life balance thing. So but that is relatively team dependent. So what happens in Citibank is that if when you join as a new graduate, there is basically a different program from you. Like all the new graduates that are hired by Citi are enrolled into this program. So we were about 120, 130 students, not students, 130 engineers who were enrolled in this program. And this goes on for 2 years. So, this entails a certain amount of things. So, first, we all went through some training, and all of this was online because I joined in 2021. So, 2020, sorry. So, everything was online. And the, the trainings were basically based on majorly the technical stuff like Spring Boot, a little bit of Python, a little bit of RabbitMQ, MySQL, etc. There was also functional knowledge. So if anyone is looking to go into the functional side of things, like into the domain side of things, in the finance side of things, basically, then Citibank is a way better place to be at because everything there somehow relates to the financial side of things. And if you have that domain knowledge, it would be very much appreciated there, even if you are a developer. So we had about 5 days of training, 5 full days of training for the finance side of things. And I wasn't interested in finance at that point of time, but it really helped me. Like I did not have much ideas of IPOs, the stock market, etc. But I got to learn a lot. That was basically my introduction to all these financial instruments, and it was pretty good. So that is in terms of the work culture. In terms of the technologies, if you ask me, the financial sector will always lag behind the cutting edge technologies, and that is also the case with Citibank because in the financial domain, the major focus is on robustness and security. So just using new frameworks or new technologies straight up is usually not the way to go. So I majorly worked on Spring Boot and a little bit of Python as well, but that was for an internal project that I was working on. Since I had the time, so I basically chose to go into that project, and it was basically the development of a chatbot, but we'll come to that later. So the technologies used is just, if you are expecting that you will get a new technologies, then this probably is not the right place for you. Um, but if you're thinking that go into the industry to just get some like typical industry experience, that will be a lot here. Like there is a lot of focus on Java. There are some teams that work on .NET as well. There are some openings for C and C++ as well. So in my experience, that was that. But I wanted to focus on the Java side of things, so I majorly opted for the Spring Boot role. So I worked in two teams, um, because one change of team is mandatory as part of the new graduate program that I was talking about earlier. So I went from a team that was working on majorly JavaScript for the front end and Spring, etc., for the back end, and then moved to another team, which was where I was developing this internal tool uh, that I talked about earlier, which was being written in Python. So that was since that was an internal tool that was being in that was still in development, still in active development, and was not supposed to be exposed to customers or to any financial data, because it was supposed to act as a support tool to all the internal users. So we did not need any financial data, and it did not need the robustness that Spring or Java offer. So we chose to write it in Python only. So because it offered us a chance to get to learn Python better, and also to because Python is easy to just straight pick up. So we also use Python there. Uh, I think that is it with the work culture thing. Yeah, the work-life balance is pretty good, but it is team dependent, I would say, because I have had some colleagues that used to work till 8 on a regular basis when starting out from 10. But in my case, I had pretty normal days. I was mostly free by 5 or 6 when I started off at 10, maybe 11. So it wasn't really heavy. And the people around there are very helpful, because especially everyone knows that you are in the new graduate program. So everyone is willing to help as well. You can simply reach out to everyone. So if someone is not busy, they'll definitely welcome you. So yeah, I think that is it from the culture and etc. from my side.
Sure, I mean, that was pretty detailed. A few follow-up questions. So,
Mhm.
one thing, you told that you were part of the new graduate program, and you told that it was almost for a period of 2 years. So, if I understood correctly, the first few weeks were training. But what else was included in this program, since it was like almost 2 years? So, what else was included in this program?
Yeah, okay. Actually, a good question. So, the first few weeks were training, as I mentioned, and then there was a small project, a group project. So we were all divided into teams of 7 or 8, and we had to do a project that was assigned to us. It was somewhere in the financial domain only, so that we could also use the domain knowledge that we got. So we had to develop that project, and this took about I think 3 months, because I joined in August, and in November we were done with the project. The deadline was for November. So then we had a meeting and we all showcased our projects to our respective teams and to other higher members. So yeah, that was the 3 4 months, and then we all were given a team. We were given a team based on our interests that they made us that they asked us before joining. We had to fill a Google form, and we had to all state our interests in that, and according to that form, we were assigned a first team. So we got that team, and for basically about November to June next year, we were completely in that team, and we just had regular catch-up calls as a part of this program that I'm talking about, but nothing special or nothing extraordinary except for this. We just had regular catch-up calls just to take status, like has everyone gotten a task, has everyone gotten to know their teams, because starting out, most people tend to not just outreach or just basically reach out, sorry, not outreach, no, they tend to not reach out, and sometimes it's difficult for the managers to get through to everyone. So that's why we had these regular calls, which really helped just to form a bond and get to know the team members. So these were that. And one major part that I think I glossed over was after June, we basically what is done is we have to choose a new team. So if we are, say for example, we are 100 students, 100 engineers, then we there are 100 openings, and all these openings are given to us in a list, and there are also calls, like every department presents its openings, like what is the work to be done here, and what is the tech stack used, etc. So we had all those calls, and then we had to fill in our priorities. We were all given three priorities, and we had to fill our choices. So if a choice of ours is not filled by any other member, is not filled by any other new grad, then we simply get the position, and then we can join a new team and carry about our business. But if there is a clash, then there are internal interviews that are held. So out of the 2 or 3 or maybe 10 other people that have applied, only one is selected for the role, and the other nine are based on their other remaining priorities are distributed to other roles. So it is not a competition, like it is not a case where if you do not pass the interview, you will be thrown out of the organization. That is not the case. You will definitely get the role. It just depends what role you will get. So that was a major part that we had to do after spending almost a year. And then I think then we started to just move away from this program, and we still had calls, but they were less, because after spending 1 year, everyone expects you to just know what is going on, and how to solve your problems, and directly contact your manager, etc. So we started to move away from this program, and after at the end of 2 years, we are given a choice, like, do we want to continue in this new organization, in this new business unit that we had, or do we want to go back in the previous team, like in the first team? So it depends. You can choose any team you like. At that point of time, there are no interviews, etc. It's just open for you. What do you want to choose? So yeah, this is the major part of the 2 year program that I was talking about.
Okay, and like as you mentioned that people get a choice to fill in priorities, like which team or role they want to take up next after like approx 1 year. So what are the different roles or opportunities are there? Like if I can understand, then there's back end and front end. But apart from that, if somebody wants to take on Android, or if somebody wants to go into data science, or maybe uh, machine learning, if there exists a team. So like what kind of options are there, or is it or the options are in terms of the finance sector, like different parts of finance you can take in?
So so what happens is, you get the tech stack. You also get to know what business unit this, basically what department this job is under, this role is under. So you already kind of know the finance side of thing, like I mentioned, I think there is a meeting where all the departments pitch their roles to you, basically, and therein they tell about the finance sector, they tell about the tech stack. So the finance sector, the finance side of things is done there. In the technical side, there are backend roles, there are front end roles. In terms of Android and iOS, basically mobile technology is almost non-existent. I couldn't see many roles that required that. Yeah, in terms of data processing, there are a lot of things because City tends to work a lot on data. So there are stuff on data processing, and they were moving towards machine learning. By the time I was there, they were moving towards machine learning and just data processing and data analytics, getting insights. There were a lot of roles for that as well. So not only backend and front end.
Okay, right. And also, like, which teams did you work with during your time at Citibank? So the team before the switch and after the switch.
Yeah, so I used to, when I first joined, I was selected into the city private bank, and which caters to high net worth individuals. And I was selected for that, and I had to work on a platform that was customer facing, and I was working on that. And after the switch, I was working on I was in the marketing ops technology side of uh, basically side of things, and that department was named City Market Ops only, and I was in that. And in that, I was working on that internal tool I was telling you about earlier.
Right, right. Got it. Got it. And like my final question for this section. So how would you rate the career growth at Citibank? I mean, in terms of learning or the salary increments and promotions and all.
Yeah. So I think I've said this earlier to my close friend that as a developer, if you are not looking to get into maybe the complete backend, like complete in the database side of things, or if you're not looking into getting into, just for the sake of getting into the financial sector, I think. That you can find better places to be for a developer to add, especially for a new developer. So like personally, I was interested in learning new technologies and just learning the industry standards such as etc. But when I joined Citibank, I realized that it is more a place that focuses on the finance side of things rather than the technology side of things. So it does focus. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Citi does not focus on tech. It does obviously, but the major focus is on is the finance side of things. So I would say there are better places to be in terms of the learning, but if you're looking to get domain knowledge, then the financial domain knowledge, then I don't think there is a better place to be. So that is my take on the learning side of things. The the salary increments actually they are fixed for the first 2 years. You get a uh, defined salary, defined salary increment, and a mandatory promotion that you get. So, and as soon as I could get, as I could get to the my performance review that would have gotten me to hike, I switched to Inshorts because I was getting a better role here. So I switched. So I cannot say much about the increments here. But the mandatory one I got was a mediocre one. I wouldn't say it was very good. So I got a about 10% of hike there. But that was a mandatory one. So every new grad will get that 10% increment. That's it.
Got it, got it. Thanks a lot today for all that info. And with that, I think we can move on to our next section and discuss about your preparation on the application process. So I know that you got this offer on campus, but in case if somebody wants to apply off campus, what are the different channels through which a person or a candidate can apply for the role?
Yeah, so for the different channels, I think the best would be to go on jobs.city.com. There are openings there, and you can apply through that portal. But I would suggest you to first get a referral from someone who's working in City. You can easily get a referral on LinkedIn. People in City usually are willing to give out referrals. And so if you reach out to them, I think you will get a referral easily. And one thing is that if you're a new grad who's looking out to get into city off campus, there aren't many openings because they tend to hire on campus only for the new grads. But if you are an experienced person and are looking to get into Citibank, then I think your best bet would be to go to jobs.city.com only.
Got it. And like, what kind of preparation would you suggest for getting hired? I mean, in terms of the subjects and topics and difficulty level, like what is the absolute bare minimum someone should do before appearing for the interviews?
Yeah. So City has in my experience, City has they focus a lot on critical thinking. So you will get a lot of questions on logical puzzles, like just some normal puzzles, some out of the box questions like how do you think this system works? How do you think that system works? So there's definitely a lot of focus on puzzles and logical thinking. And in terms of the DSA side of things, um, they do not focus a lot on DSA, and the level is not that difficult too. Um, but one thing I would like to say is that they do focus a little bit on SQL. So there will be a little bit of questions on SQL. So I think it would be best if you revise your DBMS concepts. But I do not think they go into a lot of detail there. So you are safe in that sense. And basic OOPS concepts you should definitely know. They do tend to ask a little bit of that as well. So yeah, I think these are the major pointers that I'd like to give anyone who's looking to prepare for an interview.
Got it. So now that we know like what kind of preparation is required, like would you like to give a brief overview of the process itself that you went through?
Yeah, sure. So, as you mentioned, that I got selected through the on-campus placement process. So, I'd just like to give a brief of the whole process. So, the GPA requirement was fairly low. It was at 6 GPA for a 6C GPA, and anyone above that could apply. And they were hiring for, as far as I remember, um, they're hiring from all branches. They were not just limited to computer science, software engineering, etc. But I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But I think they were open for all branches. Yeah, so the process started off with an online test, which was done on the AMCAT platform, and it had aptitude questions, which had logical reasoning and simple, things like ratio and proportions and percentages, etc. The basic aptitude questions that we have, and a little bit on the reading side of thing as well. And then there were two coding questions that we had to do. I don't remember the exact number of questions in the aptitude side of things, but I don't remember, but they were all MCQs. So and there was no negative marking. Uh, and there were two coding questions that we had to do, and one of them I remember was fairly simple and was based on arrays only. So I don't think it required any special thinking. I think it was just brute forcing. And the second question that I got was based on hash maps, and it wasn't a fairly trivial problem, but it was not that difficult as well. Like you did not have to think of some complex logic or anything like that, but it was just you had to handle all the cases, and you had to write a lot of code basically because it was a bigger problem. So those were the two questions in the online test. So after that, there was the first screening, and then they selected about I think 30 or 40 students they shortlisted, and then we had our interviews. So we had two technical interviews and one HR round. And in the first technical interview, I was asked about a project that I had done. So I have also interned in two startups where basically I learned the most of my Android things, most of my Android basics. I learned in those two internships in the second year and in the third year. So I was asked some questions about that, like how did you do this, or how do you plan on doing this thing, and how did you proceed with that? So they were basically asking me some questions on the whole design. I would like to say that not this was by no means system design, just like basically the architecture I chose for my application and the design patterns that I had used, etc. So this was the first technical round. They did not ask me any DSA questions in the first interview, and this was just it. Like it was all about my projects and my internships. Uh, and in the second interview, in this moving on to the second technical interview, I started off with some puzzles. Like the egg dropping puzzle is a pretty famous one that I was asked on. I was also asked to generalize a solution for that problem, and there were other simple logical problems as there other common problems. The one question that took me a little bit of time was they asked me just randomly straight out of the blue. They asked me, "How do you think Google Maps works?" So I I was completely stumped. Like I wasn't expecting such a a huge question to be putting on me. So I asked for a bit of time, and I got to think like, what do I think? How does it work? It cannot be storing real time images because that would be slow, etc. And on these lines, I was thinking. Then we had a discussion over this. Like I think this is what Google does. So and I was a counter question. Then do you think Google does this, or do you think if Google does that, then this might be slow, etc. What do you think you can do better? So something along those lines. As for the DSA question, I was asked a simple array question only. I think that was also to to check my logical and critical thinking skills rather than check my coding skills. So that's why I said that they tend to focus on checking the logical things and not the coding skills as per se. So yeah, that was about it. And and at the end, they also asked me some behavioral questions like the simple ones, the most common ones, like tell me about yourself and something like that. And then they wanted to see. Then they basically kind of veered the conversation uh, towards an example where I showed some leadership or where I showed some some conflict resolution. So I just got one incident that had happened in my college a while back and narrated that as to how I resolved something, etc. So that was the end of my second technical interview. The first technical interview lasted about 40 minutes, and the second technical interview lasted about 50 minutes. And then we moved on to the HR interview. The HR interview was a pretty short one. It was just a 10-minute conversation where the HR guy asked me about what are my plans for the future, like if I plan on doing higher studies, or if I'm planning to do higher studies, then um, I'm going to looking for an MBA or an MS, etc. And then he also asked me what my dream company was to go into. So I don't know what that question was, but I answered it truthfully. I did not say that Citibank was my dream company. I answered it truthfully, and I said that I wanted to get into Google, etc. So he also asked me how many companies I had applied for. So at that point of time, I had basically applied for every company that had come for the on-campus placement, because at that point of time, just wanted to secure my position and get a job. So, but I did not say that to the interviewer. I just told him that I just started naming companies that I had applied to at. He then asked me, "Why do you think that you did not get selected?" So I just said that At some points, I think I could not get my point across clearly, etc. I did not say that my test did not go well, or I think I need to do more coding, etc. I did not say that. I just said that I think I could not get my point across clearly, etc. So yeah, that was the HR interview, and that was the end of the process. And out of the around 35-40 people that were shortlisted, they finally selected eight, and four were put on wait list, but they were not selected later, and they only decided to go through with the eight that had selected. So yeah, that was for the interview thing.
Right, right. So first of all, like 100 marks for memory. You still remember everything so much detail after 2 years. Like I don't even remember my interviews the next day. Like I can't recall the so that is there. And for that part also, like for the Google Maps part, I think that is probably really tricky to ask someone who's just graduating, because that's a real proper system design question for really senior roles. And also I think that they were just looking for like how much can you think, how much you can scratch your brain that time. So
Yeah, yeah,
that is there definitely.
completely agree with you.
Right. Um, I guess that's all from my side. And Uday, would you like to add anything in case if I miss something?
Yeah, just one thing. As I think I mentioned at one point during the interview that as a developer, I think there are better places to be. But if you want to go into maybe product management or full-fledged management itself, I think then Citibank is a very good place to be. So if you're looking to maybe get some work experience before going to your MBA, or get into Citibank and maybe want to move to a product role within the city organization, you will definitely get those roles as well. So, in a managerial sense, it is definitely a very good place to be. So, yeah, that's just something that I wanted to say.
Got it, got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess that's true for a lot of big banks and the investment banks that hire. I guess that's really true. So great. Thanks a lot today. And I think we can end this video here. Thanks for taking out time and sharing all your valuable experience. And thanks everyone for watching. So stay safe and keep learning. Bye bye.